Good afternoon. Welcome to the video showing how to weld. As it turns out, the wheel at the front there on this lawnmower, Husqvarna, whatever model it is, you can look it up. So the idea is that the wheel is crooked and he wants to fix it. Normally we're hoping that you just have to replace some parts. The other wheel looks a little straighter. I've already taken this apart and discovered that it needs to be welded, so I'm going to show you. But first, let's take off the left side wheel. Bolts are already off. Alright, left side wheel is off, and it looks like it's already been repaired, welded, so is this more worth fixing? Maybe not. But we're going to do it anyways. So we'll take this wheel off here. Okay, there's all the parts from that wheel. Looking at the parts, yeah, sure enough. You can see here this bracket is bent. And down here, this one appears to be bent also. So a couple parts are going to need. But here's the big story. Now I've already cleaned this up. Straightened it, banged it into shape. That is a bit of a problem. So if we're going to weld it, we have to find the correct alignment. That is the center of this hole here, with respect to this hole maybe, and this hole probably. So we'll have to not only clean the edges very well and the back side so that our weld is not contaminated. We have to provide support. It's cracked here, and there's a big bunch missing here. Most likely I'm going to use a washer, find the center, fit it inside that space, and then provide support on the back side where there's no interference. Also important to clean the back side of this. You can see it or not. So we got to get up into there and clean that out a little bit too so we don't contaminate the weld. So here's some of the tools we're going to need. So we need a hammer. I've already used it to straighten. Pry bar. These work really well for straightening. For example, you can usually grab something if you grab it at the right spot and put a little torque on it. You can pull things back into line. You can put a little torque on it while hammering somewhere else, and the combination thereof gets you something straight that was otherwise crooked. It's also a good idea sometimes to put something in behind and then hammer against it to get a flat surface. Now we might do part of that at the end after we're already welded. That way we have some rigidity. So you need a container full of scrap little pieces of steel, a bin full of washers to pick from, some fast wrenches, some slow wrenches, some kind of measuring device, a towel to put over top of your workspace when you're grinding, face mask, scrap steel to put behind the washer when it's welded, and you need to get a little unsafe by removing this from the grinder. You didn't hear that from me, but that's how you're going to get get that grinder in behind. You may need to use a different grinder as well to get back in here. There's my grinder. Okay, now I'm going to head up and try to weld this thing. Alright, now before we weld, the welder's in a different building, so I'm going to take a few of these tools here. I'm going to need a block to prop the mower up, probably a magnetic triangle to help fasten the piece, which is going to be cut using the grinder wheel grinder. Need the wrench to change the blade over. I'm bringing this and this as well, because if I make a mistake welding, I'll have to cut it off or trim it up. Sometimes trim it flush to get the bubbles out and then re-weld if there are bubbles. Hopefully there's not. Wire brush, tidy it up. This measuring device, because I need to recheck my measurements. There's the piece, the washer I chose to weld in place. The welding mask, that's a nice one. Welding gloves, cut the wire. I'm using a MIG welder, so I'll need to trim the wire before I touch. And a light, more light the better up there. I'm going to throw it all in a bin, get over to the other building. All right, here we are set up in the other shop. Belongs to The Honest Wrench. And we share the welder, so we're not using very much of the shop here, just the corner, out of the way of any cars. All right, wet rag over the carburetor might not be a bad idea. Got to choose the weld settings, flip it on, gas on. We got a chart. We're using 3000 thou wire. We should be somewhere in about E5 to start. E5 looks like that's where they like to weld. Okay, there's music in here. Hopefully you can hear. Got to get this disc switched over so we can cut this. I've propped the mower up. All right, there it is cut. Long enough so when I slip it in behind, this little hole here can be used either to weld into or bolt through as well. That hole's not being used, so that provides extra support, and I'll put the washer on top in there. So now I just need to trim the corners up here and here. All right, ready to weld here now. Guys in the other shop making too much noise. All right, we tacked it down here. Now we're going to clamp it over here so that we can draw the washer flush with this surface to do our next weld. All right, we made it all the way around, filled it in best we could. We're just got to do this bottom edge down here now, just to join that. Hopefully can penetrate. The welder wasn't working too great there, something sticky on the wire, and I raised the amperage a little bit. Survived. All right, welded underneath too. Just to try to clean it up a little. Made a bit of a mess, but got it stronger. That's a light down there helping me out. Should have had a knee pad. All right, we're not going for beauty here, but I want this surface all flush because I don't know what's coming next when I go to install it. So I guess we got a bit of beauty. So welder put away. Got to return some tools I borrowed. And I head down to the other shop to finish. Alright, we're just probably going to use a flat file to file that edge off there. We got to get two hands on it. So take it down a little bit so I can put the nut on. Well, it ended up being faster with the Dremel. Most of the time Dremels are toys. Sometimes you need toys to do your work. So what's next here? We gotta clean it up, make it pretty or not. Put some primer on, some paint on. Clean up the parts, blow compressed air. Probably won't get too fancy with the grease, and pop her back together and test. Okay, little body tools here. Smooth it out. Kind of already did it. No need really. Maybe some brake cleaner, because we're going to paint. Compressed air would be a good idea now, although you don't want that brake cleaner in your face, so or taking out the atmosphere more than it has. So I'll blow that out in a sec. Okay, compressor going there. Self-etching, I don't know. I don't want to get too fancy here. Filler primer might make it a little thicker. I can't find my red oxide primer, so I'll just use this. It's a lawnmower, who cares? Alright, so some gloves. That should provide my, my shield. Again, not that it really matters here. The other hand, I'll try to prop this up, take a video and spray it through there. Oh, looks like I missed a spot. I'll just wipe it off with brake cleaner after. Should be good enough. I'll head underneath, do the same thing. So while we're waiting for primer to dry, probably should straighten some of these pieces out here. Yeah. Nope, have to get that. Yeah, just probably in the vise. Maybe vise and hammer and flat plate. Alright, well it's a little dark over here on the vise table today, so hopefully you can see. I don't think we need these rubber padded pieces. Just crank it in. Can we do this with one hand? Oh, look at that. Okay. Set the height right where it bends. Clamp it there. Try to get it straight if you can. Assuming the bend was straight. Sorry about that noise there. I think that's good. A little leverage down on there. Now, I guess we kind of did this wrong. You don't want to pound on the end here, but it doesn't matter. Whoops, we missed. Maybe one more. That's your one-handed, left-handed hammer on. I give it one more shot. Always one more shot. Good enough. And now this one, same idea. I'm not going to show you. I think you got the idea. Although this one's got some funny wows in it, so we might just as be as well to start by just squashing it up here. See what happens. You kind of want to go into the plastic range, and squashing it won't. It'll just go back from memory, but well, hopefully that wasn't supposed to be concave original. Anyway, make it flat. I think the other one is. I guess time to reassemble. Paint's not dry, but we're only going to wear off the paint in the one spot where it's designed to rub anyway, as long as I don't get my greasy hands all over it. Just put it together now. Alright, there's the wheel assembled. I think I got it right. Didn't bother looking up the diagram, just kind of copied. And just got to tighten that down. You can see that nut bolt thingy on the back side has got a flat surface to tighten against. That's a good thing, and there's enough thread on there, so I'm going to go ahead and say that's good enough. Uh-oh, remember I wasn't supposed to pound on that thing? Well, it's a little tight here. I think we'll just force it on. As long as we don't cross thread it. I think it's going good. I'll take it off and double check. If I have to, I'll run a tap on it. Alright, I just took it off. Took the wheel off. Ran it through one rotation. And Tighten it up. Ooh la 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 la. Bearing's got a bit of play. All straight. Time to drop the mower and see what's up. Okay, well, I got soft. Forgot to paint it. Hardly seems worth it, but I'll paint my wrench here too. We'll give him a painted one. Some paint off. Just around that center hole. I gotta do this with one hand so I don't mess it up. Brake cleaner on a rag. Whatever you want to do. You could put brake cleaner on the bolt and spin it. Whatever, because then we can put some grease on. Okay. There we go. Little Honda white lithium works good. Oh, I think I got some grease on. Little in the mechanism. It'll work its way. Spray it a few. Should probably lube your wheels like once a year, once every couple of years. You can use lithium, but also, well, if you've got all those chemicals, lubes. Sometimes the crown penetrant works well. Okay, but we did forget to put all the tools away and write a work order and call the customer and sweep the floor. That one piece of dirt there. Close the drawers, unload the lawnmower, push it outside, and help them load it. So we'll work on that. But check out the beauty here. Well, by the way, it doesn't really start. But he said it did, so I didn't test it.